Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge, where today we'll talk about a lot more jobs being created than anticipated, and mercifully, a U.S. airman rescued in Iran. And we've got that and stocks today for you that are moving big, all on today's Rebel's Edge. Welcome back, folks. It is just Jon today because a lot of people are traveling over Easter weekend, and at least one of them, my brother Pete, had some airline delays, not TSA. He said TSA was a breeze, but airline delays kept him from being able to do the show. So you just get me. And today's show, I'm going to talk about that macro. I'm going to kick it off with those 178,000 jobs, significantly surpassing the estimates of about 60,000 new jobs. Unemployment rate, well, that also fell. It fell from 4.4% to 4.3%. So the report was full of pretty good news across the board, but hourly earnings only were up 3.5%. Now, that's pretty good, 3.5%. In a month. But the issue here is that the street was expecting a stronger increase. And so if inflation, the prices that we pay for things, has moved up and people's ability to buy them is only rising less than inflation, that's not a good thing, at least in the short term. And we hope it indeed is the short term. All right. Let's hit a little VIX, because the VIX was trading right around 23 today, the 23 and a half. And the reason for that, 23.99. In fact, as we speak, I'm just looking at it on my computer. It's up very, very slightly. And that is, of course, with the President Trump declaring that he's going to hit electrical facilities and bridges unless Iran does indeed acquiesce to the conditions that the U.S. has put down. Not negotiated, put down. All right, let's talk now about prediction exchanges. We always love talking about prediction exchanges. This certainly plays into exactly what I just described, because on Polymarket, we have the U.S. and Iran ceasefire. And will it happen by, for instance, tomorrow, the 7th. And there's a very small chance of that, apparently, and I agree with that. I would not be betting on that. By April 15th, a week from tomorrow or so, it's a 17% chance. So we are seeing the odds of some sort of ceasefire sooner rather than all the way out past June and July. But nonetheless, we are not seeing people bet actively that we will see that ceasefire before, quote, hell rains down on those facilities that I described earlier. I will point out that about $100 million has already been wagered on these outcomes, the outcome of U.S.-Iran ceasefire. So if you're a betting woman or man, you might want to pay close attention to the movement of odds in either favor or against the ceasefire, because this is indeed a crowdsourced opinion that is with their money, not just with a phone call and a poll. All right, let's talk about some stocks then. And again, I apologize for Pete not being here. Justin and Mark were also otherwise detained, so it's just Jon. And Soleno is the stock that we're talking about today, SLNO, because Neurocrine Bioscience has decided that they're going to enter into a definitive agreement to acquire SLNO for about $53 a share in cash. Now, that's over 30% higher than where the stock was trading. And this kind of deal, we're seeing more and more of these, despite the fact that interest rates and financing are more dear In other words, more expensive than they were just 6 months ago. Nonetheless, a lot of these big companies think that rates are going to be easing and coming down. And in some cases, they're paying for these companies out of Treasury. In other cases, they are borrowing significant amounts. And those are the ones that you would think are optimistic about interest rates coming down, despite the fact that they're picking up something that they believe will be very accretive very quickly to these companies. All right, let's hit AAOI. And AAOI is Applied Optoelectronics. They revealed this morning that they'd landed another $71 million order for their data center transceivers from a hyperscaler. Now, this same hyperscaler customer had purchased about $53 million order just weeks ago, back in March. So to have two of these back to back and have the total now up over $124 million, that's why you're seeing Optoelectronics moving up so rapidly today. Very strong action, and the largest single period commitment in the history of AAOI. So there you have that one. FUBO, this is one that Jared apparently loves. FUBO, this is FuboTV, FUBO, for us, by us television. That would be FUBO. That's Damon Dre. But instead, FuboTV, they are going up because guidance is up. Whenever you get guidance up, folks, again, Pete and I would tell you, if we see guidance going higher, you can almost always bet that that stock is going higher, unless they just absolutely fell out of bed ahead of their earnings report, meaning that they didn't have strong enough revenue or bottom line profitability. But in this case, their EBITDA and so forth was very strong. The company expects to turn free cash flow positive next year in 2027. And that and $200 million in cash will get you a nice little rally when you say that your guidance going forward is that strong. Fourth and final stock today, MicroStrategy is what it used to be called. Now it's called Strategy. And the strategy here is to get the stock up off of its backside and maybe go to the upside for a little bit anyway. Today is a little bit. It's up 5%. And this stock is coming down from $400 a share. So again, it's called Strategy now. They dropped the micro part. But Strategy is a former $400 stock that is now a $100 stock. And they bought $330 million worth of Bitcoin in just this past week. From April Fool's Day, April 1st through the 5th, they bought 4,871 Bitcoins at an average price of $67,000. Now, as long as they can keep this up, they can keep Bitcoin above, testing that 60,000 level. But you have to wonder on down days whether or not that level will again be tested and perhaps even broken through. Isn't what Michael Saylor or anybody over that's a shareholder of Strategy would like to see, but it is also a possibility on any bad news. Now, we had a lot of good news, of course, over the weekend with the rescue of the second airman, who was the weapons officer on that flight. He's a colonel, and he managed to evade capture in Iran long enough for what basically about 100 special operators were able to come and get him. That's SEAL Team 6, probably Delta, and a bunch of Army Rangers. And it was a pretty amazing thing that we actually got this guy back safely. And certainly a lot of prayers were answered on Easter Sunday in that regard. So with that said, folks, with Pete not being here and traveling, we're not going to have sports today. But if you tune into the Rebel's Edge tomorrow, you will get a full complement of prediction markets, volatility, stocks, and sports. But that'll be on tomorrow's Rebel Edge, which will come your way at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for joining me on this holiday shortened and aircraft questioned for their delays that kept Pete from being here. Thanks very much, folks. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.